You know, despite my heavy bias and favorability towards Nintendo games, I do actually like to play other kinds of games. I mean, just recently I bought an Xbox 360 just to play the Halo and Walking Dead series. In fact, I feel as if starting a YouTube channel heavily based on reviewing video games gives me reason to play other titles beyond whatever the big N drops. I've also decided to build up a Steam library as of recently. Papers, please, I fucking love you so much. And have been looking at a variety of titles, especially visual novels. Why? Well, I don't know, I've always been one that liked reading and typing and relating with characters. It was Danganronpa. Danganronpa got me into a bit of a little fixation with visual novels. Now, I'll be real, I don't fuck with visual novels that much. Frankly, because these games have very little gameplay interactivity, which is the reason why I played video games. I mean, what kind of game is a video game if there's no game to the video game? You know what I mean? Also, a lot of the premises of visual novels don't really catch my eye. It feels like a lot of them are kind of bare bones. I don't want to say that, but games like Ace Attorney and Danganronpa usually have a story or general idea that draws your curiosity to play them. Yes, I'll admit, I do hold a pretty critical opinion on the topic of visual novels because to me, if they don't have much interactivity to them beyond dialogue selection and route picking, then it's more video than game to me. So if I were to play a smaller party or indie visual novel, it's generally got to catch my attention by presenting a topic I'm interested in, having an art style I wouldn't mind looking at for a few hours, and also that, just being a few hours. And so far, one title on Steam has managed to have hit all of those criterias. That game being A Year of Springs. A Year of Springs is a visual novel title that actually consists of a trilogy of games, though they're really chapters. I'm assuming it's referred to as a trilogy because of how broken apart each chapter is in comparison to one another. Not like something like Mother 1, 2, and 3 broken apart, all the same characters are there across each chapter, just telling a different story in each chapter. In fact, the first chapter, One Night Hot Springs, was released years prior to the release of A Year of Springs, likely serving as a demo or just a small title before developing into something bigger. The stories is usually female oriented, so activities I don't really care for, and every chapter usually deals with some form of social question or discussion, usually more cultural ones that are specific to Japan, which is the overall setting of the game, but it does also go over more broad topics like queer and sexual topics.
Yeah, I know. Oh boy. Well, this video is really gonna hold up well, I bet, given the topics we're gonna have to cover when we eventually reach that. But for now, I'm gonna hold off from talking about that and just talking about the game and what it holds.
A Year of Springs is divided into 3 stories. Story 1 is One Night Hot Springs, Story 2 is Last Day of Spring, and Story 3 is Spring Leaves No Flowers. Each story focuses on one of each of the main characters. Chapter 1 focuses through the lens of Haru, a transgender female who is very socially aware of herself and therefore is very reclusive, or maybe for a lighter tone, introverted. Chapter 2 focuses through the lens of Erica, a pansexual female whose words and tone may seem blunt but means no harm or foul and mostly just follows along with her friends. Chapter 3 focuses through the lens of Minami, a very bubbly and outgoing girl who cares a lot about her friends and tries to make them feel like a part of her life. She's very inviting too, given her more upper class status. Anytime the location changes, it's almost always followed up with Minami being there because she's the one with the moolah. There are also a few supporting characters in each chapter, but it's this titular trio that will be our main focus in this title. The chapters also not only focus on certain characters, but each one also takes place at different locations, the setting which sets the scene where the scene is set. And these different locations allow us to explore the character of that chapter. Chapter 1 is set mostly at a Japanese onsen in hot springs, Chapter 2 is set mostly in Erica's apartment dorm, and Chapter 3 is set mostly in Minami's home. Now that we know who each chapter focuses on and where each chapter is primarily located in, we can finally learn what each chapter presents and tells. Now, I'm going to be very nice and generous, because despite being in the Big 26, social and gender issues are still somehow a problem in the United States. Now, I'm going to be straight with y'all, I didn't know how to really address this segment properly. I've rewritten this part about 1,000 times, and every time it feels like I'm either soapboxing or fence-sitting. So instead, I'm going to choose the easy way out of this shitstorm and choose not to talk on the general concept of transgenderism and the controversy of gender identity and sexual orientation and implementing them in a two-gender-oriented society, but rather get the point across and separate the concept of reality and fiction. Basically, I'm just telling y'all that this is a visual novel title that clearly and explicitly states itself as pro-LGBTQ, pro-trans, and is a bias on the author who created it. So if you, yes, you, clicked on this video knowing what the game is, knowing what the topics at hand may be in this title, and knowingly still getting upset over me reviewing a DEI, woke, liberal, agenda-pushing indie visual novel game, then, well, that's your opinion. I can't get mad at you. You have a right to free speech and expression, but I won't lie and say you're not at least a little ignorant. Not in the sense of your opinions. I am not the Supreme Court of personal opinions on social and political issues, but just knowing what the title contains and still bitching about it on my video where I state the obvious, like, yeah, okay, man, why don't you go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and hit the bell and turn on all notifications. Chapter 1's main focus is how Haru, a transgender female, has a hard time fitting in. Basically, Haru knows that her status is a non-common gender role and doesn't fit with the standards of Japanese society, which, by the way, is also a very male-female, two-gendered oriented society. No, Patrick, Japan isn't a kawaii desu place. It's just like every other industrialized civilization with a long history of nationality and conservatism. Haru, in turn, is very reclusive and tends to keep to herself to avoid conflict, confrontation, or even the worry of those two things. However, because this is a visual novel with multiple routes, you can choose either to keep Haru more reclusive from her friends and others, or make her more open about herself. And there are multiple endings to this chapter. In fact, all chapters either have multiple endings or stopping points, depending on what chapter you're playing. For example, in One Night Hot Springs, you can immediately get the normal ending if you choose to decline the invitation at the beginning of the game. There are also certain selective dialogues you can't unlock without doing a previous run, though I've only really seen this in the first chapter. For simplicity and continuity's sake, the good endings are the canonical endings of each chapter, as you can't progress onto the next chapter without having selected the desired dialogue route to get them. I guess this is also where I can quickly cover how user-friendly this game is as a visual novel. Maybe it's because I haven't played a lot of visual novels from the get-go, but having a variety of text speeds besides slow, normal, and fast, and also having an auto-forward timing so that even if the text goes by quick, you can still adjust the timing to move from one text to the next is nice to see. Also, being able to turn off and on auto text scrolling on the fly is also a nice addition. What's my favorite addition, though, is multiple save logs, so that you can save at a dialogue fork and return back to it when you finish doing a run. And though the save log amount looks small, this is done on a chapter by chapter basis rather than a universal one file save system. That's why I even bothered getting every single ending, honestly. There's also the ability to enable hint hearts. I didn't use this at all in any of my recording sessions, but I'm pretty sure it's done just to guide you to get the good endings, which can be helpful for players that can't, I don't know, read the room. Okay, I think we should get back to our story at hand. So Haru makes her way to the onsen and meets up with Minami and Erika, who she is meeting with for the first time. Unlike Minami, who's had a past with Haru before and after transitioning, Erika is not so aware about Haru's sensitivity and reclusive character, and with her more forward tone, these two may not seem to go hand in hand. Just to clarify, I don't mean that in like she'll call her every slur in the book. More so a person who will just be like, oh, so that's something you also went by when you were a guy, or so what was your past like before you transition? You know, something not being socially aware and whatnot. Which, of course, she often apologizes for when Haru corrects her, so, you know, at least she has a good heart. But the game isn't supposed to incentivize you by keeping Haru all coddled to herself. I mean, in order to get the good endings, you have to pretty much have Haru put herself out there. And this may include scenarios that one may be embarrassed or uncomfortable in. One of my favorite moments is when Haru gets approached by a staff in the family baths and offers her a spot in the women's bath due to the family bath schedule being filled. Now, you can choose to lie and return to your room, just playing along for the rest of the trip, or you can make Haru open up to the staff, who will upgrade your room for free that has an additional private hot spring. And later on, she'll actually pass by and recommend a hot spring spot for Haru and Erika to go, knowing places around that are fine with allowing transgender visitations. I like these moments because it challenges Haru to make decisions that need her to step only a bit out of her comfort zone and society-bearing mentality, just for her to realize that, hey, not every person here looks at me with pity. Sort of an eye-opener for Haru, and allows her to grow more extroverted as the game progresses. There's also a moment that you get if you accept Erika's invitation to the hot springs later in the night, where Haru and Erika exchange deep thoughts on gender-oriented expectations and social settings and labels. Also, Erika calls you out on having a crush on Minami, which you can also push Haru to hang out with, though it's its own route deviated from any routes involving meeting with Erika, and it's more so just an acceptance sort of ending, nothing too serious. By the way, if you click the a little uncomfortable option, you're going to hell. I don't care what your reason is. But either way, these moments help shape Haru into realizing that not everyone in this menial world is out against her, and that sometimes you just have to be open about these sort of things. And not to prattle on my soapbox, but I believe the sentiment should be applicable applicable to everyone that questions the world and people they live along with. And given the game we're talking about here, you know exactly what I'm indirectly referring to. Either way, most endings simply end off with Haru, Minami, and Erika splitting all off or splitting with one another, thus concluding the first chapter of A Year of Springs. Chapter 2's main focus is on Erika trying to motivate and teach herself. With a new era comes a new coming of age event, and for beginners we'll be dealing with Haru's birthday, which is also on the same day as the new era. Man, people who have their birthdays on holidays must feel so fucking special, huh? Yeah, having to deal with 2 different events on the same day because your super duper best friend decided to squeeze out of the puss that day instead of any other fucking day of the week. Yeah, it must feel real fucking special, kid. Unfortunately, Minami had already made plans with Haru, leaving Erika out of the picture. Fortunately though, Minami had already made plans with Haru, meaning Erika can make plans some other day for Haru, perhaps even better plans than a dinner after work. And so that's what the next few days for Erika become, a means to try and motivate herself to show that she also cares for little Haru. And Erika really wants to make that clear by reaching out to her. A lot. I mean, literally most conversations between Erika and her friends is over text messages. By the way, a little unrelated, but I like this stupid watermelon man giving a thumbs up. If I wasn't so dedicated to the Luigi fixation, this would be my profile for like 3 weeks. Anyways, most conversations are short-form text messages, so most of the time we'll be hearing from Erika's thoughts, helping explore more of her character as one that is bold and likes to say what's on her mind, but ultimately is someone willing to learn and grown accustomed to the environment or people around her life. In fact, Erika here is a little too needy in knowing about someone she just recently met. I mean, shit, listen, I get some people who can know other people quickly and already have them on their besties list by the end of the week, but that usually comes with a strong chemistry and bond between 2 players. Haru still holds a lot of reclusiveness to herself in comparison to Erika's seemingly extroverted attitude. This is best reflected in her messages, sometimes going AWOL and leaving Erika in the dust. No, the message is left on red, she's just ignoring me. Nah, Haru, don't be like that, bruh. I'll give her ups, though, for actually going out and reading the message instead of being a fake fuck and keeping you undelivered for days on end. Sorry, am I sounding a little too personal? I mean, hey, this game seems like it's a game I'm meant to be personal about in some way. Plus, maybe blowing steam off will help me get a move on from the misery contained in my head. Oh no, wait, now the viewers hate me. Not like they wouldn't anyways, given how slow I am on uploading. Well, you know what? Here's a video of me actually recording my lines for all the naysayers saying I'm just a lazy bum.
Oh, sweet, a schizo meltdown.
However, as the days progress, Haru does warm up more and more to Erika, and in return, Erika becomes more and more determined to show Haru just how much she cares for her, even trying to plan the birthday party as a surprise to a special place for a special friend. As Erika does her research though, she realizes that a lot of places that would be nice for a birthday party wouldn't be nice for someone who doesn't identify with the 2 gender orientation. And so, Erika must resort to what is possibly the hardest decision of her life and the hardest setup for a birthday date: an at-home birthday spa, meaning she has to clean her place up. Now, the spa selection at this point doesn't really matter, as all will lead to the April 6th ending, but it's still nice to be able to unlock the different activities to see what Haru, Erika, and oh, wait, never mind, I guess Minami is sitting out of this one. So, with a hesitant Haru and a needy Erika, we can finally settle and either get our nails painted, yes, slay on that queen. Get your fucking tentacle nail done, Mrs. Haru. A face mask with decorative cucumber eyes. I don't know, but for some reason the scene makes me think of them as like aliens from Men in Black. I don't know, it's just some autistic sense it's tingling. Or a face massage. I don't have a comment for this one, even they didn't care much for it. With such a personal at-home spa day, things also start getting personal, with Haru feeling like a detriment for her friends and lamenting about how her status puts her at odds with the world around her. Erika reassuring Haru's new era and even sharing her early experiences with Haru that helped her get a better understanding on how it must feel, and both of them growing closer and closer as friends. Maybe even more. And with that, we settle chapter 2 off with 2 gals who are now closer than ever before. Both of... Wait, rewind. She doesn't like Mikan? Well, who the fuck are you? How could you not like Mikan? You know what? If you hate Mikan, then you can go fuck yourself. Anyone who's a Mikan hater will not be tolerated, even my most loyal of fans. If you don't like Mikan, then you hate America! Unsubscribe now, you pussy-ass bitch! Oh, wait, they're referring to Mekon. Okay, then. We settle chapter 2 off with Erica growing more closely and becoming more understanding to her good friend Haru, who is becoming more comfortable with someone who she once regarded as bold and blunt. Who knows what the future holds for our friend group here? Well, we wouldn't have to wait long to know because it's quickly addressed in the next chapter, Spring Leaves No Flowers. Chapter 3's main focus is on Minami, and this is probably the chapter that focuses the least on Haru. I know that's a bit of a weird comment to state. It's not like Haru truly represents the face or mascot of the game, but not only was she the focus character in the demo and chapter 1, but also played a significant role in chapter 2 even if the chapter was under the lenses of Erica, because we wouldn't have explored Erica's character more had it not been for Haru's underlying presence. Of course, chapter 3 does not deviate away from the general queer discourse and gender/sexual oriented discussions. Trust me, that is made clear here with the overall thesis of this chapter. That being, how does Minami accept and understand change? Especially change involving her personal self in regards to sexual orientation. Chapter 3 explores Minami's home life, a life of wealth, a big home, traveling, good chums, and a loving boyfriend. Holy fuck, I need to get my life together. However, the thing with Minami is that not only is she bubbly, but she also sort of lives in a bubble. Maybe not physically, but more so mentally. She often just goes with the flow with what she believes, and often misses reading the room. This can be seen in more menial aspects, like calling her friends multiple times when they're clearly not on their phone, or taking a joke literally, to not seeing the signs that Erica and Haru are now in a relationship, something her boyfriend was able to easily recognize. Oh yeah, by the way, it's made clear in this chapter that Erica and Haru are sort of dating, at least at this point in the story. Erica confesses it to Minami later on, whose brain must be layered with osmium because she plays so fucking dense. I may be wrong though, because after a warm discussion with Erica, Minami begins questioning herself. I mean, she seems to understand the concept of gender and sexual relations, and isn't against it by any means, but doesn't understand how it feels. You can already tell what this is likely hinting at. Minami might be ace. Maybe even Arrow Ace. At least that's what Haru believes. But what does Haru know? Minami's dating Tatsuya. Surely that proves her super straight heterosexual normative nature. As you can tell, Minami holds her personal bubble very tightly, and the moment something is there to try and pop it, she treats it as a threat to her very own person. Luckily, even though she'll deny anything that challenges her view, she won't stray away from doing a challenge. That's the one thing I like about Minami's routes. You'll often pick from two choices, a lot of them being crossed out, but not non-selectable. Sure, she may stray back to what was originally supposed to be clicked, but sometimes clicking the wrong answer will lead to different results, and that's sort of how this quiz plays out. It's Minami challenging herself by clicking what her gut feels rather than her heart, even though she puts more belief into her heart rather than her gut. Hence why her answer by heart is open, but her answer by gut, while still an option, isn't an option she wants to face like that. But by the end of it, there's only one clear answer for her. She's the best ace of the club! Hit it, Poofesure!
We're done for the day.
Of course, as I stated earlier, with Minami's personal self being challenged with what she sees as irrefutable evidence, she gets confused and contemplates her self-being. To her, she doesn't feel like it's in her nature to feel this way, that she isn't a normal person like she always saw herself as. With a stir of confusion wrapped around her mind and after some soft talk with Haru, she decides to make the decision of visiting her boyfriend, Watanabe, or as Minami refers to him as, Tatsuya. Tatsuya, though having a small role, makes himself clear. He cares for Minami, even if it may seem conflicting. He doesn't go into immediate questioning and interrogating when Minami confesses, nor does he go on a tirade challenging her words. He just listens and asks. Ultimately, though the both of them are confused, they also both understand that people have these kinds of realizations down the road. A person that you know now isn't going to be the exact same months or years down the road. Some people have their awakenings early, and some people have them later. By the end of the day, they're still the same people you know and love. And that's what I believe is all that matters by the end of the day. Wait, fuck, I'm sounding too woke. I would have voted for Dick Cheney! No, wait, fuck! And with that, Chapter 3 wraps up with a still confused yet increasingly curious Minami. I think this is by far my favorite chapter. The overall message of it, and the other chapters to a lesser extent, is that you shouldn't blind yourself to one certain view or identity and should be willing to broaden your horizon in a sense. Learn more about yourself and who you really are, rather than just trying to fit with the status quo or limit yourself in order to feel like you should belong. You know, I often live by the sentiment of, I may be cringe, but I am free. And I feel this chapter sort of plays by that. To the standards of society, you may be out of place or not standing by tradition, but ultimately you shouldn't have to lie to yourself in order to feel the needs of fitting in. Just be you. Live life well. You only get one of it after all. God, you know, this was supposed to be a video game review. Okay, so there is one more chapter afterwards, an epilogue of sorts, but I'm a little hesitant sharing this. On the one hand, I like to look at every part of a game when I can, and that includes post-game and 100% unlockables, unless it's like a nothing burger or bragging rights. On the other hand, the creator of this title, npckc, states on their website that although it is fine to stream the game, streamers should refrain from streaming the epilogue. Now, yes, streaming is likely only referring to those who play the games live, and most likely isn't referring to a pre-recorded edited video. However, I'm going to play it safe and assume streaming means any recording involving the game, live or pre-recorded. So I'm going to come up with a bit of a compromise. I'll discuss the epilogue chapter and we'll still show the footage, but I'll put it at 10% opacity. Matter of fact, I'll also throw out some fucking stupid, dumb video. I don't care. Hey, I'm still discussing the game and showcasing it, so you can't say that I didn't fulfill my review. Alright, so once you manage to get the best ending in each chapter, or the ones that make you reach the desired ending, you actually unlock an epilogue chapter, The Coming Spring, where Haru moves out of her old place to go live with Erica at a new house. With all three of them there, they make small talk about their new lives, reflecting on their past, and discussing how they'll maintain their friendship. Talking about stickers and moving and the TV license fee guy, what the fuck? What the hell? Why does the rest of the world have TV licenses? What if people just want to use their TVs as monitors? Do you still have to pay a licensing fee? Someone out of the States, actually answer that if you're willing to. I'm genuinely curious on why a lot of the world seems to function on TV licensing. Okay, I'm stepping out of place a little, but there's not really much to tell. It's a short 10-minute epilogue that showcases how our future friends are going to be dealing with life and all that stuff. But for now, they're just living the moment together again. All three of them make some humor with each other, reflect on their friendship, and then take a picture together to show how happy they are to have known and grown with each other.
So, what can I say about A Year of Springs? Well, it's not exactly a complex title by any means.
It's a simple, short, nice and sweet visual novel. Barely any form of gameplay elements, so you know, not a lot of people may not care for this title from the get-go. There are multiple endings and therefore multiple routes you can take, but all in all, this title can be done entirely in less than 3 hours. Not that complicated of a title. I think this title may be more in line with people who want to be familiar with the topic or subject at hand, or want to play a game that they think will fit their comfort zone without taking too much of their time. It's definitely a niche comfort title that I don't think was necessarily meant to appeal to everyone. I mean, that can be said certainly with the general topic at hand across all chapters, but either way, it's a nice title to play if you don't have much going on and you just want to see some girls doing girly things. It's not packed with many scenes and it's not all that complicated. It's nothing special, but it's definitely a title the creator put their heart into.
npckc, the creator of this game, does have a few other games in their lineup. One being a Game Boy Light game, which I think can work on original hardware, the other being a point-and-click horror game, and a few others being like smaller visual novel-like games. So if you found this title interesting, you know, go ahead and check their stuff out, you know, it's a bit of a selection there to pick from. But I think for now, I'll call it off here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to stick around for whatever else I drop in the future. Probably be another 9 months, but hey, you know, I'll try to push out what I can. Take care, and have a good one.